its soldiers refused to salute the elderly man until the general ordered them to attention Fort Bragg, North Carolina, June 2019. The heat settles over the parade ground like a wool blanket, thick and inescapable. The kind of heat that makes dress uniforms stick to your back and reminds you why they call this the South. 200 soldiers stand in formation, AlphaCompany, 82nd Airborne Division. Fresh-faced privates next to grizzled sergeants, all of them waiting for the ceremony to begin. Another change of command, another speech about duty and honor and carrying the torch forward. They've heard it before. At the edge of the parade ground, near the reviewing stand draped in red, white, and blue bunting, an old man stands alone. His name is William Chen, 87 years old, 5'6" in thick-soled shoes. He wears a windbreaker despite the heat, navy blue, slightly too large for his thin frame, khaki pants, white sneakers, a Korean War Veterans Association ball cap perched on his head. The gold lettering faded almost to nothing. He holds a small American flag on a wooden stick, the kind they hand out at parades. Nobody notices him at first. He's just another face in the small crowd of family members and retirees who've come to watch. He stands quietly, flag in hand, watching the soldiers with an expression that's hard to read. Not quite nostalgia, not quite sadness. Something older than both. The ceremony begins at 1400 hours. Sharp, the division band plays, the colors are presented, the outgoing commander gives his remarks, something about sacrifice and the long gray line. People clap politely. William doesn't clap. He just watches. During a pause in the proceedings, he starts walking. Slowly, carefully, using the flag stick almost like a cane. He moves toward the formation, toward the young soldiers standing at parade rest in their neat rows. A staff sergeant spots him first. Sergeant Morrison, 28 years old, 6 deployments, 4 arms like bridge cables. He steps forward, intercepting William before he can get too close. "Sir, I'm sorry, but you can't be over here. Family viewing is back behind the fence." William looks up at him. The sergeant towers over him, a full foot taller, probably 100 pounds heavier. But William's eyes are steady. "I just wanted to say hello to the boys," William says. His voice is soft, accented, Cantonese vowels shaped around English consonants. "Just for a moment." "I understand, sir, but we're in the middle of a ceremony. If you could please return to—" "I was a soldier too," William says. Morrison softens slightly. "I'm sure you were, sir, and we appreciate your support. But right now, I need you to step back." William nods, doesn't argue, just nods and begins shuffling back toward the viewing area. As he passes a group of younger soldiers, privates, barely 20, one of them mutters under his breath, "Did that old dude just try to crash the formation?" Another private grins. "Probably wants attention. You know how old-timers get. Bet he tells everyone he was special forces or some shit." They laugh quietly, not cruel, just thoughtless. The way young people laugh when they don't know any better. William hears them. Of course he hears them. But he keeps walking. He's heard worse. Back in the viewing area, he stands alone again. The ceremony continues. The new commander takes the guidon. More speeches, more salutes. The band plays, the army goes rolling along. William stands perfectly still through all of it, flag in hand, eyes on the soldiers. When it's time for the pass in review, when the formation will march past the reviewing stand, he moves closer to the fence, not crossing it this time, just close enough to see their faces. The soldiers march, crisp lines, arms swinging in perfect rhythm, boots striking pavement in unified thunder. As they pass the reviewing stand, the command rings out. "Eyes, right." 200 heads snap toward the reviewing stand. 200 right arms render salutes. William stands 15 feet away, in plain sight. Not one soldier looks at him. Not one salute extends his direction. He's invisible, just another old man at another military ceremony. He watches them march past. Companies B, C, D. Weapons platoons, support elements. All of them focused forward, seeing the flags and the generals and the officials, not seeing him. When the last soldier passes, William lowers his small flag, folds it carefully in half, then in half again, tucks it under his arm. He turns to leave. That's when the black SUV pulls up. The SUV is a Chevy Suburban, government plates, windows tinted dark enough to be official. It stops near the reviewing stand and a door opens. Major General Sarah Reeves steps out. 52 years old, 2 stars on each shoulder, 30 years of service written in the lines around her eyes. She's not part of this ceremony. Her office is 3 buildings away. But she's here now, and when a 2-star shows up unannounced, people pay attention. Her aide, a young captain named Foster, hurries to keep pace as she strides toward the reviewing stand. "Ma'am, the ceremony's almost concluded. I need to find someone," Reeves says. Her eyes scan the crowd. Family members, retirees, veterans in unit baseball caps. She's looking for something specific. Then she sees him, William Chen, halfway to the parking lot, walking slowly, flag tucked under his arm. "There," she says. She changes direction, heading straight for him. Foster follows, confused but obedient. "Excuse me," Reeves calls out. "Sir, excuse me." William stops, turns around, sees the general approaching, the stars on her shoulders catching sunlight, and his first instinct is to step aside, to get out of the way. But Reeves walks directly to him. "Mr. Chen," she says. William blinks. "Yes?" "William Chen, 187th Airborne Regimental Combat Team." William's face changes. Something shifts behind his eyes. That was a long time ago, ma'am." Reeves stops 3 feet in front of him, looks at him the way you look at someone you've been hoping to find for a very long time. "I know who you are," she says quietly. William doesn't respond. He's not sure what to say. Reeves glances over her shoulder at the ceremony. The formation's breaking up now, soldiers falling out, families moving forward to greet them. "Did you try to approach the formation earlier?" William hesitates. "I didn't mean any disrespect. I just wanted to—" "I know what you wanted," Reeves says, "and they should have let you." She turns to Foster. "Captain, I need you to reassemble AlphaCompany. Full formation, 5 minutes." Foster stares. "Ma'am?" "AlphaCompany, full formation, right here on this parade ground, and find Colonel Harrison. Tell him I need him here too." "General, the ceremony just ended. The soldiers have been released to—" "5 minutes, Captain." Foster knows better than to argue with that tone. "Yes, ma'am." He jogs away, radio already in hand. Reeves turns back to William. "Mr. Chen, I need you to stay here. Can you do that?" William looks uncertain. "I don't want to cause trouble." "You're not causing trouble." Reeves's voice is firm but kind. "You're receiving something that should have been given to you 70 years ago." William doesn't understand, but he stays. Within minutes, word spreads across the base like wildfire. The general wants AlphaCompany back in formation. No explanation, just orders. Sergeant Morrison is halfway to his car when he gets the call. "You're kidding me." "No joke, Sergeant. General Reeves herself. Full formation, dress uniforms, parade ground, right now." Morrison curses under his breath and starts running back. The soldiers reassemble, confused, annoyed. It's hot. The ceremony's over. They have plans. But orders are orders. Colonel Harrison arrives, the brigade commander, looking equally confused. "Sarah, what's going on?" "Trust me, Jim," Reeves says. In 6 minutes, AlphaCompany is back in formation. Not as crisp as before, some uniforms loosened, but standing in ranks, at attention, waiting. The crowd has grown. Word travels fast on a military base. Other soldiers, families who haven't left yet. People pulling out phones. Reeves walks to the center of the parade ground. William stands beside her now, looking small and uncertain under the bright June sun. "AlphaCompany," Reeves's voice carries across the formation. Command voice, the kind that could stop a charging bull. "I'm going to tell you a story, and you're going to listen to every word." The soldiers stand silent. "The man standing next to me is William Chen. Some of you saw him earlier, some of you ignored him, some of you laughed. A few faces in the formation go pale. Mr. Chen came to the United States from China in 1948. He was 18 years old, spoke almost no English, worked in his uncle's restaurant in San Francisco, washing dishes, trying to make a life." She pauses, lets the words settle. "When the Korean War started in 1950, Mr. Chen wasn't a citizen yet. He could have stayed home, stayed safe. But he went to a recruiting office and enlisted in the United States Army. The parade ground is silent now. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. They assigned him to the 187th Airborne Regimental Combat Team, the Sands. They made him a paratrooper even though he'd never seen a plane up close before, taught him to jump out of them at 1,000 feet. Reeves looks at William. He's staring at the ground, gripping his small flag with both hands now. In March 1951, Mr. Chen participated in Operation Tomahawk, the only combat parachute assault of the Korean War. He jumped into Munsan-ni with 3,400 other men. They landed in the middle of 2 Chinese divisions. She lets that sink in. For 4 days, the 187th held that position against waves of enemy attacks. Mr. Chen was a rifleman. His squad leader was killed in the first firefight. His sergeant was wounded on day 2. By day 3, Mr. Chen was one of 6 men left from his original platoon of 40. Sergeant Morrison stands frozen in the formation. The young privates who laughed earlier look like they want to disappear. On the 4th night, Reeves continues, Chinese forces broke through the perimeter, hand-to-hand fighting, bayonets and rifle butts. Mr. Chen held a section of trench with 2 other soldiers. When they ran out of ammunition, they used entrenching tools. When the tools broke, they used their hands. Reeves's voice doesn't waver, but there's steel in it now. By morning, all 3 of them were wounded, but they held that trench. And because they held that trench, the Chinese advance stalled long enough for reinforcements to arrive. She turns to face the formation fully. Mr. Chen was awarded the Silver Star for gallantry in action. He was recommended for the Medal of Honor by his company commander. That recommendation was denied, not because he didn't earn it, but because in 1951, there were people in the Army who didn't believe a Chinese immigrant could be a real American hero. The shame on the soldiers' faces is visible now. Mr. Chen served 2 more years, 2 more winters in Korea. When he came home, he went back to washing dishes. Didn't talk about the war, didn't march in parades, just worked, raised a family, paid his taxes, lived quietly. Reeves walked slowly in front of the formation. He came here today because he heard there was a ceremony, because he still loves this army, because even after 70 years, even after everything, he still believes in what that uniform represents. Her voice drops lower, more personal. And some of you looked at him and saw just an old man, someone irrelevant, someone in the way. The soldiers can barely breathe. Reeves stops, stands at attention. So, here's what's going to happen now. General Reeves turns to William. Mr. Chen, would you please join me in front of the formation? William hesitates. General, I know you don't need it, she says gently, but they need to give it. Slowly, William walks forward, each step careful, the flag still in his hands. When he reaches the center, Reeves positions him facing the formation. Then she steps beside him. AlphaCompany, she commands. Attention! 200 soldiers snap to attention as one. The sound of boot heels striking pavement echoes like a rifle shot. Present! Arms! 200 right hands rise in perfect unison. 200 salutes, razor sharp and held, for William Chen. The old man stands there, tiny beneath those raised hands, and his whole body goes still. His eyes move across the formation. Young faces, all of them looking at him now, really seeing him. The silence stretches. 5 seconds. 10. William's hand, slowly, shakily, rises to return the salute. His form isn't perfect. His elbow doesn't quite reach the right angle. His hand trembles slightly. But it's the most precise salute anyone on that parade ground has ever seen. He holds it for a long moment, then lowers his hand. Reeves doesn't order arms yet. She lets the salutes hold. Mr. Chen, she says, on behalf of the United States Army and on behalf of every soldier in this formation, I want to thank you for your service, for your sacrifice, and for your grace. William's eyes are wet now. He tries to speak but can't find words. Reeves steps closer, lowers her voice so only he can hear. I found your record 6 months ago. I've been trying to track you down since. My grandfather served in the 187th. He used to tell me about a kid from China who saved his life at Munsan-ni. Told me that kid deserved every medal the Army had. William looks at her. What was your grandfather's name? James Reeves, Staff Sergeant, Weapons Platoon. William's breath catches. Jimmy, Yes, I remember Jimmy. He never forgot you, Reeves says. He died in 1987. But before he did, he made me promise something. He made me promise that if I ever wore this uniform, I'd make sure people like you were remembered. She steps back, raises her voice again. Order! Arms! The salutes drop, but the soldiers remain at attention. Reeves turns to Colonel Harrison. Jim, do you have the company guide on? Harrison nods to his aide, who quickly retrieves the AlphaCompany flag, a triangular banner on a staff, the unit's insignia embroidered in gold and silver. Harrison brings it forward, holds it at port arms. Mr. Chen, Reeves says, in the Korean War, it was tradition for combat units to invite veterans to stand as honorary members of the formation, to quite literally carry the colors with us. She nods to Harrison, who extends the guide on toward William. Would you do us the honor? William stares at the flag, at the eagle and the scroll and the unit crest, at the campaign streamers that hang from the staff, each one representing a battle, a war, a generation of soldiers. I'm not sure I can hold it steady, William says quietly. We'll hold it with you, Harrison says. William reaches out, his fingers, thin, spotted with age, trembling slightly, wrap around the staff. Harrison doesn't let go. They hold it together. Reeves turns to the formation one last time. AlphaCompany. This man jumped out of airplanes when some of your grandparents were children. He fought in frozen mountains while most of America looked the other way. He bled for a country that didn't always treat him with the dignity he deserved, and he did it anyway. Her voice is fierce now. So, when you see an old veteran at a ceremony, don't assume you know their story. Don't assume they're just here for attention or living in the past. Assume they paid a price you can't imagine, and give them the respect they earned. She pauses. The respect we all inherit every time we put on this uniform. The soldiers stand frozen. Some are crying now, not ashamed of it, just overwhelmed. Reeves looks at William. Sir, would you like to say anything? William shakes his head. I wouldn't know what to say. Then just stand with us, Reeves says. That's enough. And so they stand. William in his windbreaker and ball cap, Harrison in dress blues, Reeves with her 2 stars, the guidon between them, AlphaCompany at attention in the blazing June heat. For 5 full minutes, nobody moves. The ceremony isn't official. It's not in any manual. It's not something that will show up in reports. But every person on that parade ground knows they're witnessing something sacred. When Reeves finally gives the order to fall out, the soldiers break formations slowly. They don't rush to their cars. They don't check their phones. They walk toward William, one by one. Sergeant Morrison is the first. He stands in front of William, comes to attention, and salutes. William returns it. I'm sorry, sir, Morrison says. For earlier, I should have known better. You didn't know, William says simply. Now you do. The young privates who laughed come next. They can barely look William in the eye. Sir, we were disrespectful, one of them says. There's no excuse. William looks at them, really looks at them, sees himself at that age, scared and stupid and trying to figure out what it means to be a soldier. You're young, he says. You'll learn. I did. They salute. He returns it. For the next hour, soldiers line up to shake William's hand, to thank him, to ask him questions. He tells them small things about jumping from C-119s, about the cold, about the friends he made and the friends he lost. He doesn't tell them the hard parts. Those aren't for public sharing, but they listen. And for the first time in decades, William feels like someone hears him. Evening comes to Fort Bragg. The parade ground empties. Families head home. The soldiers return to barracks. The flags come down. William sits on a bench near the reviewing stand. General Reeves sits beside him. They don't talk much. Just watch the sun set over the base, the gold light turning everything soft and warm. My wife used to ask me why I never went to reunions, William says eventually. Why I never wore my medals, why I put all that away. Reeves listens. I told her it was because I didn't need people to know, that what mattered was that I knew. He pauses. But that wasn't the whole truth. What was the truth? William is quiet for a long time. The truth was, I was afraid. Afraid that if people knew I was Chinese, they'd question whether I really belonged, whether I really earned what I earned, whether I was really American enough. His voice cracks slightly on those last words. I came to this country with nothing. No language, no money, no family except my uncle. And then they gave me a uniform, gave me a rifle, sent me to fight in a war that most people didn't understand. He looks down at his hands. I jumped out of planes, froze in mountains, killed men who were trying to kill me, did everything they asked, and I still spent 50 years wondering if it was enough, if I was enough. Reeves doesn't rush to fill the silence. She just sits with him in it. You were enough, she says finally. You were always enough. William wipes his eyes. Today, what you did today, I've never felt anything like that. You deserved it 70 years ago. Maybe, but today was the right time. He looks at her. Thank you? Reeves nods. My grandfather would have liked seeing this. Tell me about him, William says, so she does. They sit on that bench as the sun sets, and Reeves tells him about Staff Sergeant James Reeves, about how he came home from Korea and spent 40 years as a high school history teacher, about how he made sure every one of his students learned that the Korean War wasn't forgotten, that real people fought it and real people died in it, about how he kept a photograph on his desk of his platoon at Munsanni, and how there was a young soldier in that photo, slight build, serious expression, who Jimmy said was the bravest man he ever served with. He showed me that photo when I joined the Army, Reeves says. Told me to remember that courage doesn't have a uniform. It doesn't have a flag or a language or a birthplace. It just is. William closes his eyes. I remember taking that photograph. We were waiting for resupply. Everyone was exhausted. The photographer kept saying, smile, and we all just stared at him like he was crazy. They both laugh quietly. I have a copy of it, Reeves says. In my office. I can get you one if you'd like. I'd like that very much. A staff car pulls up. Captain Foster steps out. General, your 1800 meeting is in 15 minutes. Reeves sighs. Duty calls. She stands. William starts to rise, but she waves him back down. Sit, rest. You've done enough standing for one day. Will I see you again? William asks. Count on it. I meant what I said. I've been looking for you for 6 months. I'm not losing track now. She salutes him. He returns it. As she walks to the car, she turns back. Mr. Chen, one more thing. Yes? My grandfather told me something else. He said that in his whole life, he was only absolutely certain of 2 things. 1, that God was real, and 2, that you were the reason he got to come home and become a father. William's face crumples. I just did what anyone would do. No, Reeves says gently. You did what a soldier does, what a good man does. She gets in the car. It drives away. William sits alone on the bench as darkness settles over the parade ground. The lights come on. Bright sodium lamps that turn everything orange. He pulls out his phone, an old flip phone, scratched and worn. He dials a number. It rings 3 times. Hi, Ba, a woman's voice answers, his daughter, Susan. How was the ceremony? William looks out at the empty parade ground, at the space where 200 soldiers stood at attention for him. It was good, he says. His voice is steady now, strong. It was really good. Did you get to see the soldiers? Yes, I got to see them, and they got to see me. They talk for a while. Susan tells him about her kids, his grandchildren, about soccer games and school projects and all the normal, beautiful chaos of family life. Before they hang up, Susan says, I'm proud of you, Ba, for going today. I know it wasn't easy. It was easier than I thought, William says. Maybe I should have gone sooner. You went when you were ready. After they hang up, William sits for another 10 minutes, just being present, just being still. Then he stands slowly and walks to his car. A 2003 Honda Accord, dented bumper, faded paint, but it runs. He drives home to his apartment, a modest 1-bedroom in Fayetteville, 5 miles from the base. The building is old but clean. The neighbors are quiet. Inside, his space is simple. A couch, a TV, a kitchen table. On the walls, a few photographs. His wedding day, his daughter's graduation, his grandchildren at the beach, and one frame above the others, his Silver Star certificate. Yellowed paper behind dusty glass. He hasn't looked at it in years. Tonight, he takes it down. Wipes the glass clean with his sleeve, reads the citation. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action against an armed enemy? He reads the whole thing, every word, then he hangs it back up, in the same spot. But somehow, it looks different now. Before bed, he sits in his chair by the window. The small American flag from the ceremony rests on the side table beside him. He thinks about the young soldiers, about their faces when they saluted, about the weight of that moment, not just for him, but for them. They needed to give that salute as much as he needed to receive it. That's how it works. Memory isn't just about the past. It's about passing something forward, making sure the next generation understands what came before, what was paid, what was earned. William closes his eyes. For the first time in 70 years, he doesn't feel like he's still waiting for permission to belong. He just belongs. 3 months later, AlphaCompany deploys to Kuwait. Before they leave, Sergeant Morrison organizes something. He doesn't ask permission, just does it. The entire company chips in $20 each. They commission a plaque. It reads, "In honor of William Chen, Silver Star recipient, Prestige 187th Airborne RCT Korean War, a soldier's soldier." They mount it in the company area, right next to the photos of their Medal of Honor recipients and Distinguished Service Cross holders. Morrison sends William a photo of it. William frames the photo, puts it on his kitchen table where he can see it every morning. He goes back to Fort Bragg twice a year now. They invite him to every ceremony. He doesn't always go, depends on his health, depends on the weather. But when he does, soldiers line up to shake his hand. Some of them know his story, some don't. But they all understand that when an old man shows up to honor their formation, there's probably a reason. And if there's one thing the Army teaches, it's that you don't need to know someone's whole story to give them respect. You just need to recognize that they were there. They served. They carried weight you'll never see. General Reeves retired in 2023. At her retirement ceremony, she asked William to stand with her on the reviewing stand. This time, everyone knew who he was. This time, when the formation marched past, every single soldier rendered their sharpest salute. And William, 89 years old now, thinner than ever, but standing straight, returned every single one. Courage isn't loud. It doesn't demand recognition. It just shows up, does what needs doing, and lives with the weight quietly. Maybe that's what we owe the quiet ones, the ones who served and came home and went back to work, the ones who never asked for parades. We owe them our attention, our respect, our willingness to see them. History forgets the noise. It remembers the silence that followed. NDUACs,